now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
Welcome back, everybody, to Raw Minds. I'm your host, Eric, and this is a place where we talk about real life, real pain, and how to turn struggle into strength. Today, I'm excited because I have a very special guest, Thomas M. Jones. He's a therapist, author, musician, and a co-founder of something called the Paradox Process. For over 50 years, Thomas has helped people all over the world, from CEOs, TV hosts to award-winning actors, doctors, artists, and everyday people learn how to take control of their thoughts and feelings. His process is simple but powerful. It teaches you how to turn negative emotions into tools that can help you grow, succeed, and even create the life that you want. We're going to keep it real today, talking about life, love, pain, and how to make real changes. Welcome to Raw Minds, Thomas. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, man. So at the start, I like to get all my guests to plug. So please plug everything, and I'll put it all in the description below there.
I'm going to plug away. All right.
Please.
I represent the paradox process, which is a technique used to design. It's perfectly designed to interact with your upset in a way that it changes it in the moment. It clears the emotional charge and gives you insight and information into whatever it is that you're dealing with. You know, people think of upset as some disruption or something that's wrong. And the reality is, no, it's an opportunity. Okay. And the paradox process takes that opportunity to learn whatever there is to learn, to move forward in whatever way you can, and to strategize based on what's happening in your life. So it's not about avoidance, it's about acceptance.
So heading it head on, pretty much, and facing.
You go right after it. You go right after this stuff.
See, and that's what we talk about here on Raw Minds is, you know, like, you can run away as much as you want, but eventually it's whatever's chasing you is just going to come at you. And you can try to go around it. You can try to go over it. You can try to run away. But, I mean, it's just going to catch you, you know what I mean? And it may not be now. It may be like later years in your life, you know, who knows? But eventually it's going to hit you. You got to face with it, definitely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, we have a saying that if you avoid a lesson, it comes back to you tenfold. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty insistent on getting your attention, right?
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? I mean, as a product, as a man, you know this, right? We bottle, you know, like, we're born as younger, you know, a lot of it is trauma from generation, bottling all your feelings and everything. And, you know, and I used to do that, and I had so much stuff that I bottled, and eventually it just caught up with me, stuff. And, like, in my adult life, right? You know what I mean? And it's things that happened to me as a child is now affected me now as an adult, and I had to deal with it then.
Yeah, childhood trauma, you know, we try to avoid it, we try to repress it, we try to push it away, we try to go around it. But the reality is it's shaping us at all times. You know, everything that happened to you as a kid has taught you things. It's taught you avoidance, it's taught you defenses, it's taught you ways to navigate the world that are sometimes not the best adjustments in the world. And so sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with your trauma, and you're going to have to, like you said, take it head on.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It gets ugly. You know what I mean? It'll get ugly. You'll get some cries out. It gets, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to have that weight off your shoulders. Definitely.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We start out as these pristine beings, right? We're clear, we're enthusiastic, we're excited, we're yes people. We have an enormous amount of power as babies, right? If you watch a baby in the middle of a room of adults, they're dominating the entire scene. That's how powerful we are, right? And then the programming starts, okay? Then we start to get diminished little by all the events in our lives. And it starts almost harmlessly where, you know, the baby's crying, so we're annoyed. So we're like, hey, quiet down, stop. Stop making all that noise. Stop doing. Well, that's programming that says, don't be who you are. Okay? Be different. Be less than. Be smaller. Don't be a bother. And there's 1,000 different messages that we hear like that from the time we're kids until we finally distort ourselves into some user-friendly version of ourselves that is nothing remotely close to who we really are, but somehow can navigate the world without too much trouble.
And it's crazy that you say that, because I had a guest also on, and is about sugar addiction, and how sugar is bad and stuff. And he said, and it kind of really opened up my mind, is sugar is the number one gateway to all drugs. And he put it like this, is like, if you're a kid, you do something good or whatever, your mom gives you a cookie or whatever,
Yeah.
well, you know what I mean? And that's that, right? And I mean, we've all had sugar now, but I mean, if you're off sugar, if you never had sugar before and then you have sugar, I mean, I have a little daughter. I remember, like, it's even right now, giving her sugar, she's like all over the place, so you can imagine, right? So it's almost like that addiction, and then you're feeding it, but if I do this, I'll get sugar. I'll do this, I get this, and it grows. And it just opened my mind, like, whoa, that's crazy.
That's great insight, because I swear we're always looking for the sugar, whatever the sugar becomes, right?
Yeah.
And it could be money, power, sex, domination. It could be whatever our particular addiction is. But you're right. We get trained early on, classical conditioning, that, hey,
Yeah.
you do this right, you get a reward. You do this wrong, you get punishment.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what? Another thing too, I had another guest, is you don't pick your parents, right? So you are being raised of how they want you to be raised, when you can't really even be yourself, in a sense. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, that's the amazing thing about this podcast, is I get to meet like people like you and all these other guests, and they just really open my mind, and like, different perspectives of different people is wild, and I kind of start putting things together, like, whoa, this is crazy, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
One of the things I tell people when they're starting this paradox process is, you don't know who you are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know who you think you are. Okay. Because again, you're 1,000 different adjustments from all the programming you went through, and you don't know authentically who you are. And, the journey is then to rediscover or uncover the real you. Because we're so much more powerful than we know. We're so much more authentic, more alive than we let ourselves be.
I'm sorry, I just got a notification over. That's so true. And you know what? You're always learning too, who you are too, as you're growing. You know what I mean? Like, always. And I think a big thing too that I've noticed in my life is setting boundaries really helps me grow as a person too, to know if I like that or if I not, or if people are coming in my space and if they're not. So you're always growing, always.
I was doing an exercise last night. I run a class every Monday night, and I was doing an exercise to create an internal advocate, right? And the way we did it was that I had people go back to some of their childhood traumas, right? And just reimagine that trauma where the adult you shows up and says, no more, no more. Stop abusing him. Stop torturing her. Stop doing this. No more. And we build that advocate position in a way that gives you a real strength, a real inner kind of awareness that you can set your own boundaries. You can create your own pathway and your own way of doing.
See, and that makes no sense. Like, I do kind of, well, I did and have done kind of something like that with my counselor, where my whole life has been fight or flight. I've been in that seat, so I got the tension, all that my whole life, because just the trauma and everything. And what she told me is that person is driving my bus, and I need to get I forget what it was, the subconscious, or like the person that's like my soul, I guess, to tell that person to step aside. You don't need to drive this bus anymore. It's my turn to take care. I'm okay. I'm safe. I don't need to be in this fight or flight mode. And I'm telling you, it take me a long time. I still deal with it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Sure.
hard. I'm 41 years old and I still deal with it. And it's a hard process, and it's a everyday learning thing.
It is hard because we've been programmed for so long to behave in certain ways. But, I like that analogy because that's what we do with the paradox process. We kind of take that personality and explain to it, I got this now. We got
Hmm.
this. Okay. Let's do things a little differently. We live in a world of illusion, a world of fear and anxiety and worry and doubt, never realizing that we're creating all of that through our interpretation of the world.
Hmm.
We've decided it's a dangerous world because we've been told that from the time we were kids, right? And so now we're constantly on the lookout for danger. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be that way, you know.
Yeah.
And you would imagine that if it isn't that way, that you might be subject to things surprising you. But the reality is this: we have a set of defenses. We have an instinctual defense that will rise to the surface when we need it, but we don't have to always be on guard. And it's exhausting when you are.
Oh yeah.
It's an exhausting amount of effort and work to be constantly on guard and constantly, you know, anticipating trouble in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and that was it. And then, like, I talked about this before. So in my early, I would say mid-teens to mid-20s, I rolled around with some sketchy people, right? And I was involved with some sketchy people. And in that, I was shot at 5 times in my life, right? And even my house got shot up. And you know, putting that also on top of, like watching my back, being this, being that, is like the stress that compiled, man. I can't even tell you, like, it felt like my shoulders were like up here. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
was walking, even though I have all this weight and it feels like it's pushing down, though it's up here. And I was like always watching my back. And even like after I changed my life, I still had that like when I was with my kid's mom, she'd be like, "Oh, why are you always looking around? Like, are you like looking at other girls?" But it's my surroundings and everything. And even now, like years later, I still catch myself sometimes because that's who I was, right? And it was, yeah, and it's hard. But then I realized, okay, wait, like I'm safe now. Like this is not my life. That's not all that. And I gotta pull myself, and it's hard. It's hard, and I bet like it is. I bet you deal with that a lot. Like how try to set people, like it's hard to get there, and yeah.
I deal with it all the time because people get so used to their defenses that they think they need them.
Yeah.
I grew up in an abusive household, and so I had a chip on my shoulder, probably like you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and I walked around with an attitude a mile long and a defensiveness that, I looked like I was ready for a fight all the time. And I didn't even know it. I didn't even realize it.
Mhm.
One day I was walking down the street and I caught a glimpse of my reflection in a store window. And I was like, who is this guy? You know, he's
Yeah.
glaring, he's got an attitude. And I decided, I don't want to be that. That's not who I want to be. Right. And the work was then about, all right, so why am I that way? How do I let that go? Am I safe without it? And can I find a new way? Right. This is how the paradox process was discovered, by the way, because I
Well,
was
I actually want to ask you, what is the paradox process in the simplest words for our listeners? So just so that we can get that base out of
yeah.
the way.
I'll give you a thumbnail sketch of a little bit of the history of it and tell you a little about
Okay,
my
sounds good.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So again, I came out of this abusive household and I believed that I wasn't loved, I wasn't cared for, right? It was a cold upbringing. And so at that point, I was a therapist. I worked with kids who were remanded from the court system, right? Little criminals. They scared the hell out of me,
Yeah.
frankly. These kids are going to kill me. But I was tough too. So we were all full of shit. So at a point, I realized, okay, I've got to get rid of these defenses. I've got to get rid of this. And me and a partner started working on different ways, different techniques that we could break through these emotions. Because, like you
Mhm.
said, it's exhausting. You wear your
Yeah.
shoulders for earmuffs, it's exhausting. And so we discovered this little meditation we created a meditation based on the mantra, accept the unacceptable, right? And we realized that if you accept, you stop resisting, right? And so we started using this mantra meditation on the issues that we had. And for me, the litmus test was this. I never felt like my father loved me. And so I thought, this is a perfect test for this technique we've created. And so I stated that my father didn't love me, I wasn't loved, and then closed my eyes and did accept the unacceptable over and over for about 15 or 20 minutes. And somewhere in the middle of that meditation, I suddenly saw that he actually did love me, right? And it didn't come as kind of figuring out. It came as a realization, right? And it was stunning to me because suddenly I knew a couple of things. One, that he actually loved me. Two, that he didn't know how. He didn't have a clue as to how to love me, right? And so from that moment on, I was changed. And, I'm a skeptic by nature, so I didn't trust it entirely. I felt the change, but I didn't trust it. So I actually wrote my dad a letter and explained the situation that I went through. And he wrote back and said, I absolutely did love you. I lost my father when I was 8. The only discipline I ever got in my life was the service, the Navy. And so I raised you kids like you were military kids. And that's all I knew. And so he validated the fact that all my life I had this belief that I wasn't loved. And suddenly I knew that I was. And it was because of this paradox process. It was because of this little meditation. And so we started teaching it as a meditation, but people don't have time for all that, right? And so we created a command language for the mind where you can actually state things and turn on what we call a key or a key phrase. And that does the meditation automatically for you. And
it's like a trigger.
I'll give you an example. We'll take an issue and I'll show you how it works, right? So you take an issue, you identify the emotional charge, and then you start dissecting it one sentence at a time and using a key phrase. One of them is feeling clear, for instance, which triggers that meditation. So what I'd love to do is give you a little demonstration because it can sound very confusing if you don't get it.
I'd
right?
love to do it. Yeah.
Would you like to do that? You're a daring soul.
Yeah. And you know what? This is my first ever demonstration of anything, of any guests on the podcast. So you're the first. So let's do it.
There we go. All right. So what I need from you is an issue that has some emotional charge. Do you have an issue like that?
How big or does it matter how big or how
Doesn't
small?
matter.
Or
Big or small?
Definitely my father. Definitely my father.
Okay. What's the issue there? What's the
Pretty much
emotional
the same.
charge?
Just why the hell did he beat me all the time when he was drunk?
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to create a scale for you of 0 to 10. The 0 is going to be where I want to get you to about the issue, right? And I'm going to describe it. You tell me if this is where you want to be, okay? Let's say that where we're going to try and get you is to see it clearly, to understand it, to not be hurt by it, and to not even take it personally. Is that about where you'd want to be?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
All right, good. So if that's where we want to get to, and 10 is as far away from that as you could be, where do you think you are on that scale?
I would say around maybe 7.5, just because I still haven't dealt with that with my counselor yet. Yeah.
I hear you.
I would say about 7.5.
You still got some scars.
Definitely.
All
I
right,
actually have a memoir coming out about all of this. I just finished it yesterday, so
Oh, wow.
it'll be out pretty soon. Yeah. So
this is all fresh in your mind. That's good.
definitely is. I was working on it last night and before this.
Oh,
so
my God.
It definitely is.
All right, Eric. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to fire questions and statements at you about the issue. Some of them be true, some of them won't be true, but they all have an emotional charge. You're going to answer with a 2-word phrase. You're going to say feeling clear after each one. That triggers the meditation. This is not about you agreeing or disagreeing. Your only answer is feeling clear after each sentence. Got it?
Okay.
You'll get it as we go. Ready?
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
I know, you're a quick study. Isn't it important for you to know that my father had real issues of his own?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that he was still a boy? He wasn't a man.
Feeling clear.
Can I see that he drank in order to try to manage his own pain?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that he was a man that was in so much pain that it spilled over onto us?
Feeling clear.
What if I knew beyond a doubt that he never wanted to be that way?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that he felt out of control, he got guilty about it, and he drank more because of what he did?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that he was in a trap of his own?
Feeling clear.
Why did I have to go through that?
Feeling clear.
What was I supposed to learn from this?
Feeling clear.
How is a little kid supposed to understand any of that?
Feeling clear.
Wasn't it incredibly unfair?
Feeling clear.
Didn't it leave me feeling angry and unloved?
Feeling clear.
When am I going to see that if he was sober, he never would have done any of this?
Feeling clear.
When am I going to see that if he wasn't in the kind of pain he was in, he never would have done this?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that he was a man who was lost?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that somehow I took this lesson on?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that I could either destroy my life over it or I could build it my way?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that at first I decided to destroy it?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that when that didn't work, I decided to go a different direction?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that I had to use my mind in order to understand?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that in reaching for understanding, it didn't hurt as much?
Feeling clear.
What if I knew beyond a doubt that he never meant it and he's sorry?
Feeling clear.
What if I knew beyond a doubt there's a part of him that grieves and mourns over how he treated me?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that he dug a hole for himself, but it's one that I can get out of?
Feeling clear.
What if I knew that he's proud of me?
Feeling clear.
What if I knew that he cherished me?
Feeling clear.
What if, like everything else he cherished in his life, he ruined it?
Feeling clear.
Wasn't that just him being out of control?
Feeling clear.
Wasn't that him being lost?
Feeling clear.
How do I forgive that?
Feeling clear.
What if I don't have to forgive it?
Feeling clear.
What if I just have to understand it?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that everything that happened to me, I turned into something good?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be who I am today?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that on some spiritual level, he and I made an agreement?
Feeling clear.
And I realized that on that spiritual level, we agreed that we'd go through this.
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that not only did I survive, but I thrived?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that not only did I heal myself, but I'm healing others?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that it set me on a path of healing everyone in my path?
Feeling clear.
Can I recognize that it was the worst thing that ever happened to me and the best thing?
Feeling clear.
Can I let go of the pain and take on the power that it gave me?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that I'm that much more powerful because of everything I went through?
Feeling clear.
Can I see that I had to live without love. I had to live without resources. I had to scramble and depend on myself all that time.
Feeling clear.
And I recognize that it made me incredibly strong.
Feeling clear.
And I see that now I'm letting it make me incredibly wise.
Feeling clear.
Can I trust and know that I'm evolving this journey into something good?
Feeling clear.
Okay, that's the first round.
This is the first time I've ever walked away from my seat. It's like, wow. Like, you have an idea because you do this, and you've done it probably yourself. But like, the feelings, the goosebumps, the release, you know, the like it almost like it was like warm and fuzzy, almost like I was letting things go, you know?
Yeah.
And like I I can't even, everybody that's like, if you I mean, follow along. I like follow along with Thomas on this, you know what I mean? And if it's something to do with your father or something, follow along and feel what I just felt. Like that, it's that's crazy, man.
It is crazy,
I
right?
Yeah, like I
And here's what's interesting.
I'm speechless right now.
No, I hear you. And this is the work that I do. This is the paradox process, right? Because we're not talking about, the past or the future. We're talking about what's happening right now. How do we make this into something powerful, right?
Yeah.
How do we turn this into what it really can be? How do we find the real purpose for this? Because every hardship has a purpose. And if you can find the purpose, you eliminate the hardship, right?
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that everyone who followed along got the same clearing that you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm I'm just so speechless. Like I mean, I've done a lot of different things in my life, but like that just, it's like it's speaking to my subconscious mind. You know what I mean? That's what it, like, how I felt like it was. I don't know if this is even going to make sense, but I'm just going to sound crazy, but it felt like it was going through my head into my subconscious mind and then like just sweeping it out, like sweep, you know what I mean?
That's
That's what it felt like.
That's exactly what's happening, because the things that I've been saying are coming from you. They're coming from your head. I'm just pulling them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll hear some things that are very familiar, some that you haven't even expressed before, and they will get released. And the process of healing is taking that which is subconscious and bringing it up to the conscious mind.
Yeah.
And we've just done a bunch of that about a very powerful issue, right?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is that you get, first of all, that emotional release, you get insight and information, you get a reframe of your life. Like, oh shit, this is why it happened. This, oh, damn, all right. Right? And you
Crazy.
find your feet on an intelligent path. You can make sense of the things that happen to you, right? And so you take your power back from these things, which I think is the most important thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, and that's what we talk about it. But I mean, like that, right? Like I'm still getting like goosebumps through my body just thinking, like, that was powerful. Everybody, like, I'm telling you, follow along, rewind it, follow along, and you will see, like, really, it is powerful. Like, Tom, I don't know how you came across or whatever you did with this, but you found a gold mine here. I think it I feel great right now just after that little, I honestly feel great. And this is not bullshit. Like, this is my hair standing up. Like, this is a real deal. Like, this is raw minds. I will tell you, right? And this is like, I feel good. Like, I feel like feather light, like, or light. I can't even speak right now. That's how good it feels. I appreciate you. I'm going to have to rewrite my book now, though, because like you just made me open some stuff, and I just finished it yesterday, so now I gotta go back and read.
I gave you the epilogue, that's all.
Yeah,
write the last chapter. But notice that we did 5 minutes worth of work on your life, right? This is how powerful this process is, right? That you want to change, we can change, okay? And so with a tool like this, you can change everything. You can change how you feel. You can change how you see it. You can change what you're up to. You can change your feelings about yourself. And I think that's the real journey. In a way, everything that happened to us turned us into something we're not. And this is the unmaking of it, right? This is the reclaiming of our lives and our power and who we really are, okay? Because here's the news. We're all good people, okay? We're all good souls. We all want the best, but we lose our way or we get diverted by things. And, you got to accept it, forgive yourself, convert it into something powerful and move through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and like we said earlier, right? You can't go around it or run away from it. You got to go through it. But you know, it's really funny too that you bring up like, you know, something, you go through something tragic, but yet was it really tragic? You know, like you turned it into power. How you say? And that's what I say. I turned my pain into power over here at Raw Minds. And I think you know, my fiance passed away 2 years ago, and that's what inspired me to create this. Right.
Yeah.
And I was talking, and this came up, actually. It's crazy. It's came up on the last 3 episodes I've done. And I was on a podcast, Men Thrive Daily, great guy. And he was in I said this in my last episode too. He was in a car accident, head-on collision. This guy was drunk. He was trying to kill himself, came onto an on-ramp, and I think it may be opposite, but on an on-ramp, head-on collision, left him there, pretty much left for dead. And he had a brain injury. Thank God that, you know, someone's called the ambulance. He's okay. And he's doing amazing work now. He's got his own little podcast doing and helping people. And he said his whole thing is he's trying to, how do you train grit? You know, you just can't train grit. You kind of got to go through it. But he's trying to learn how you can train it to people and stuff, right? He's trying to really get into that. But then he also brought up his injury. Was it really traumatic? Was it really that bad? Because what he's doing now is helping people, you know, and walking people through the dark and helping. So, and he made me really think about this. And this was about a month ago. It really came in. And all of a sudden now, everybody, all these guests, you know, and it's like I said, like things happen, I meet people, and it just opens my mind, right? That's the great thing about this podcast. And he's saying now, would he go through that again in order to put him where he is today to help other people? He said definitely. He would go through that pain because that's what made him. So at the end, was it a tragedy? Because now he's helping people, you know?
Exactly.
So how can you call that a tragedy or tragedy? I can't speak now, but yeah, you know what I mean?
But, you know, I wouldn't call it a tragedy. I'd call it his destiny, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that were meant to happen to him in order to set him on a path that he gets to be on, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, if you hold your judgment of the things that have happened to you, don't say it's good, don't say it's bad. Just look at it objectively. Each one is a turn in the road that's putting you in a direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere the direction is guided by us, by our intention. You know, something in you said, I want to help people. I want to heal people. I want to heal myself, and I want to heal people. And so everything gets reframed according to that intention, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've talked to so many different people, thousands of people. I've been doing this for 50 years, right? That have gone through terrible, terrible things and made wonderful, wonderful outcomes out of them, right? And so you can't really say that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. You could often say that was the worst and the best, right?
Yeah. Or at the present time, it was bad.
Absolutely. You know, if you take each snapshot, that's terrible, that's terrible, that's terrible. But when you see, where did this bring me? What did I learn? What do I get to do because of it? Well, now you're living in purpose. And that to me is the highest calling there is. Find a purpose.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. And you're in it.
Know,
you're clearly in it.
And I this is crazy, but I stepped away from my job. I was making over 120 a year, but I stepped away from it. I'm like in construction. I'm like, it doesn't, I've been doing it for 18 years, but it just doesn't fill my bucket anymore. You know, like this fills my bucket, or maybe a support worker. And I'm trying right now to figure out, I'm 41 years old. I'm changing my life. But I mean, at the same time, it doesn't fill my bucket. You know, it just doesn't. And I want to be able to, and at the same time, construction. I mean, I'm a full-time single father. My daughter lives with me full-time. It's hard to have all those hours. Sometimes I'm working 12-hour days, you know, and then my daughter, she's 11 years old, like, you know, so it just doesn't fill my bucket. I want to help people. You know, I know construction, I loved it because I was building houses, giving people places to live, building families. That was the reason why I loved it. Right.
Right.
But now I want to help people on a bigger scale. and more depth, one-on-one. And like, this is why I love the podcast, right? Like, I wish I could do this full time, and this would be my job, but sadly I don't get paid for this. I do it on my own hobby, right? Because I love it.
No, I hear
But
you.
it's just yeah. So like I'm filling your bucket, and this is what, like, this opened my eyes to what I really want to do in life, and like to help, or there's some way,
Yeah,
some
you can
way.
imagine my satisfaction. You and I just went through a little transformation here. You can imagine my satisfaction when I do this day in and day out and
Yeah.
facilitate people's transformation, bring them back to who they're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like holding somebody up and wake up.
But here's the thing too, is like, it's wild because people don't realize we imprint ourselves on everybody that we meet. Everybody. So everybody that we meet takes a bit of us everywhere they go. Just like right now, I just told you a story of a buddy from Men Thrive Daily and what happened to him. I took that piece because he told me that, and I passed that on. And and you've probably took pieces and passed that on. And we take pieces from everybody, and it's just it's wild to think that, and it's wild. So you helping other people is leaving an imprint on them, and they will forever have that for the rest of their life. Maybe not think of it, but it will be there forever because you left that imprint. And knowing that, helping someone and watching them grow and change is just magical.
Yeah, I agree. When I was younger, I obviously felt worthless based on the childhood I had, right? I'm worthless. Yeah. And when I started doing this work, I realized that by helping one person, I've earned a little bit of worth. Okay. I've sort of earned my place in the world, right? Like, okay, now I can be here, right? And so I think each person that I help transform, I'm earning my way, right? I'm here. I belong here. I didn't know that back then, right? But I've earned my place. And so that's part of it. That's part of the purpose, right? To validate myself, to earn my place, to be worth something, to be valuable to other people, right? And I think you're on that mission as well.
And that's what it is. Like, I've helped men. Like, I get emails all the time, right? And like, just offline talk, no judgment. And I've helped, like, some of these messages just, oh man, it's just so beautiful. And I would love to share it, but I think it's just too personal and I would never share it with anybody, it's just between me and this person. But it's just, some of them are just so beautiful, and it's beautiful. Like, I'm just a normal dude, you know what I mean? That did construction, that had a really a rough life and been through some shit, and I didn't think anything special. I'm just a normal dude, but like, having this podcast, bringing guests on, helping, your story, like what you do could help someone else, reach out someone, anything that happens, on this from any guest. And it's amazing, and it really opened my eyes, like, wow, like I am kind of doing something here to help. And it's humbling, definitely, too. It's humbling, and it makes you feel good that you're doing something, helping other people, because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? And it is an ugly world out there, and we should all come together and help each other and lift each other up instead of tear each other down.
I totally agree. You can be on the side of darkness or you can be on the side of light. I do my best to be on the side of light, right?
Yeah.
Bring the light. And that's what my work is about. And, sometimes it's lonely work, sometimes it's thankless work, but it's never not satisfying, right? It's never not satisfying to see people become themselves, change, grow, accept themselves, get into their power, and become more than what they were, right? Some of them are grateful. Some of them just take it for granted. But, that's whatever they do with it, right?
Yeah.
But,
like I said, you left your imprint, right? You left your imprint on them, right? So, and hopefully they take that goodness that you've gave them and they grow and hopefully pass that on, right? So you have more clients. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's true. But yeah, every time you change somebody and then they change somebody and then they change somebody, you're creating that positive chain of events. That's very powerful all by itself.
Yeah. The ripple effect.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. What's the biggest myth or misunderstanding about your process you would have to say for people?
People can think, look, they'll see something like what we just did, right? And they'll think, oh, that's some kind of trick, or that's, you know, that's too easy, or that's too simple. Now, I worked for years to make it as simple as it is, right? And so when people think, oh, that's too simple, that can't work, that bugs me, because the reality is this: realization, transformation is instant, right? Maybe the work to get there takes a while, but the realizations that we come to, that's like turning a light on in a dark room. You can't recreate darkness then, right? And so I think one of the myths, or one of the things people think, is, oh, it doesn't last, or and I'll tell you why they think that. Because you can recognize how powerful this process is. But after a while, the mind gets afraid of our power, right? It's like, well, who am I going to be? What's going to happen here? You know, I'm familiar with the old stuff. Who am I going to turn into? And so we get afraid of who we're going to become. And so I think that's where the resistance comes in. But I can tell you, even that is an issue that's easily cleared out of the way, right? You know, the myth is that it's hard to do, or that it won't sustain. And that's just nonsense, okay? I know that with these tools, whether you use me or not, if you use these tools, you will change your life. And that's enough for me, right?
I mean, just that small little exercise that we did, I felt it. Like, I got up and stood up for the very first time, you know what I mean? Like, on live, like I mean, like it really was powerful. I was blown away. At first I was thinking, like, you know, like, how is me saying this going to, but then it's me releasing it, right? And that's just me releasing it. And it's almost like, you know, you write it on a piece of paper and then you burn it and you release it in there. It's almost kind of doing that, but in your subconscious mind. And that's what you're doing, is you're just sweeping it right out my ear, I guess.
Right out the ears. Yeah. You know, if you can clean out the subconscious mind, now you're present, now you're conscious, now you're powerful, right? And that's the goal. And look, people that come to me are people that want to get somewhere, that maybe they're stuck in their lives. They can even be successful, but they're stuck somewhere, right? And what I'm great at is blasting a hole and giving them the space to move forward, to create what it is that they want. Because all that stuckness is just fear or anxiety or resistance or not knowing what's next. And all of that can be handled. Every emotional charge that you can have can be dispelled and gotten out of the way. And so this is a great tool for getting out of your own way and creating what you want. The last retreat we did, by the way, it was in Portugal. That's why I wasn't available a couple of weeks ago.
That's cool.
And the name of it was Getting What You Want in Life. Because that's the real purpose, right? It's great that we have these emotional releases, but the effect that they have is they get us out of our way so we can create what we want, right? Okay, this is why I work with so many successful people, because they know what success is and they want more, right? And so they're interested in, all right, what's stopping me now? And so they have the courage to go after it. And I think, you know, if you've got the courage, and you do, by the way, I love that. I like your courage.
Thanks, man.
If you got the courage to step into your issues and fight your way through it, I got the tools that will absolutely help you to make that happen.
I love it. And that's what I'm in this part of my life right now where I'm being even more vulnerable than I have been, like, even on this podcast, where I have, this is funny, but I made AI music album, and it's, for me, I've always wanted to be an artist, but I can't sing. It's like a dead cat, you know, or someone's killing a cat when I sing, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but music is like the number one thing in this world to brings everybody together. You can relate to it, the feelings, everything like that. It's
sure.
got no boundaries. I find music's just beautiful and brings everybody together. And I've always wanted, like, I've always was jealous about all these artists. They can express their lives and what's happening, and it's a release for them. It really is a release. Just like this podcast is a release for me too. It's not just about the guests and the audience. It's also about me, right? It helps me too. It's
Sure.
a collaboration, I guess you could say. And so I made 14 songs about, kind of my life and stuff, and in men's mental health. And I'm telling you, it's crazy. It was supposed to come out on September 11th, but I'm having issues trying to release it because I can put podcasts out all day, blindfolded, no hands, nothing, easy. But the music thing's a little bit different, so I'm trying to learn how to do it. So it was supposed to come out on the 5th, now the 11th. Now it's going to get pushed back until I can figure it out. So I mean, I got my memoir that's coming that I'm going to have to fix now, thanks to you. But I got my memoir coming out. I've always wanted to do this, and finally I'm taking the steps, and I'm doing that and being vulnerable and talking about some of the biggest impacts in my life that were the hardest on me, from like PTSD, abandonment, abuse, all this stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And how I went through it. And then at the bottom of like each page, it gives a little reference of like, some insights and like some motivational stuff from my perspective and how I went through it to help people. And I think it's going to be good. And then with the music, so it's me just throwing myself out there, being vulnerable, and trying to be stronger and trying to fix myself at the same time, and hopefully someone picks it up on along the way that resonates and feels that, right? And that's what it's about, like fixing yourself but bringing everybody around you too. It's magical, man. It really is magical. And
I
i
love it.
i, I love, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's good.
your authenticity is going to be what brings people, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I try to. I'm as real. Like what you see is what you get. Like Mike, the camera on, camera off. What you see is what you get. I like to call myself I'm the nicest asshole you'll ever meet because I'm straight up. You know what I mean? Like, and when I mean asshole, it's like I'll tell you the truth. I won't sugarcoat it because I actually care, right? I'm not gonna tell you, yeah, don't worry, everything's fine. Like, no, like you fucked up, and it's gonna suck. But you know what? I will stand beside you and still help you. You know what I mean? Like that's and I think that's true. That's being true to yourself and to the people because you're not being fake, right?
I like that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I just got a couple other things here for you. I
sure.
want to ask, why do you think people often get stuck in negative thinking?
They get stuck in negative thinking because we've been programmed to think negatively. Look, we come by it honestly. In our evolution as human beings, we had to be negative. We had to be paranoid. You couldn't
Mhm.
walk out of the cave without worrying about a tiger eating you alive.
Yeah.
So it's a survival skill to be thinking defensively and thinking negatively, right? But
Yeah.
we're not in the jungle anymore. We're not in the caves anymore. And the reality is, it's a safer world. Believe it. In all of history, this is the safest time that mankind has ever experienced. I know it doesn't look like that when you look at the news, but statistically, it's true, right? And we're much safer than we think, than we act, than we know. And so I think it's the habit of negative thinking that really carries on. And it feels natural because at one point it was natural. But I
Mm.
think, what you think is what you create. And so what I try to tell people is create a welcoming world, create a positive world, create a supportive world. Because the minute you decide that's what I choose to see, that's what you're going to see. Okay. Your mind will value tag whatever it is that you're projecting onto it, and it will start to see evidence of what you're thinking. And so thinking is not an idle process. It interacts with reality in a way that it creates what you see. And so when people are negative by habit, I explain to them, all right, let's change that because changing that will change your world. Okay. How we talk about ourselves, how we talk about life is how we create it. And
Mm.
so We need a better dialogue about ourselves and about the world. Not because it's true, but because that's the world we want to live in. And our investment in it is to say, this is what I intend to have. This is what I intend to see.
So it's almost like you got a plant, right? Imagine yourself as the plant, and you're watering that plant, and that water is like good intentions, and you want to be doing that almost, well, depending on your plant, I guess, but every day you want to be watering that, right, and bringing that, and that's, I guess, you're gonna compact the good with the bad, I guess, but not compact it, but you know what I mean, like you're gonna put more good into bad. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying.
I do, but lest you think this is like Pollyanna thinking, like, oh, everything's rosy. No. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am clear about what reality is. Okay. I've had enough of reality. I've had enough punches in the gut to know, okay, this is real, right? But even in the midst of that, I choose to look for better outcomes. I choose to look for the best possibility. And I fight for that because it really is a fight. If you let the mind go, it'll go negative. But if you direct it, you can direct it toward positive outcomes. One of the things I instruct people that I work with to do is make a plan. Make a plan to decide, how do you want your life to unfold? What do you want it to look like? What do you want to create? What are you up to in the world? Because when you start making a plan, you will start achieving that plan. Okay? If you just take life randomly as it comes, anything is possible. But when you decide to be intentional about your living, about your outcomes, that's what you're going to create.
And I think, what is it? I think it was Jim Carrey, and he put a check. I could be wrong. No, yeah, it was Jim Carrey, right? Right? Was it $1 million he put on his fridge or something? 10 million, yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna have that someday. And one day he signed, for 10 million, right?
I know, it was crazy, right? But talk about intention, right? That's the purpose of visualization. It isn't to fill your mind with butterflies and rainbows. Okay, it's like, what do I want to see happen in this world? What do I want to make happen? You had a vision. You wanted an album. You're making that vision come true. That's visualizing, right? You had a vision. You wanted to create a memoir. You made that happen. That's making your vision come true. And it's because you had a plan that you were able to create what you wanted. And so I urge people, make a plan. Okay, this is not a practice life. You're not here forever. Okay, this is a limited duration. Okay, and so use that time. Find purpose, find power, make a plan, and get going. And that's where this paradox process comes in. Because at any point when you're stuck in that plan, or you're scared, or you're worried, or you're doubtful, I can process that out of the way and then move into what it is that I want to create. So it's really about intentional living, right?
Yeah. Almost like, it's kind of reminds me almost like The Secret, the book or the movie The Secret. Is where you're putting out good, you're putting out the good, right? It's like putting out those good intentions, right? And you want, like, if you walk around all up, my life sucks, you're kicking everything, you're just down. I mean, it's gonna suck. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, and I say this, my past, like, Joey, my old co-host, would say, all of us would say this, is pick your heart. You know what I mean? Pick your heart. Either is your heart going to be, suffering for a little bit through these hard processes to be better, or sitting on welfare and just doing nothing with your life? Like, what's harder for you? Pick your heart. Yeah,
you're right.
That's, yeah.
Either way, it's going to be a challenge. You might as well pick the one you want.
Exactly. And I just we're getting close here, but I just want to touch on one thing. So I had a great guest, Randy Lehman. He came on and he taught me, I got to get a new elastic, but he taught me, put elastic around your wrist, and every time you have a bad thoughts, don't slap it, move it to the other wrist, because now you're making that, it's a motion, you know what I mean? So you're conscious of making this motion, so then you're conscious of the bad, right? And then you stop yourself and then give yourself a good one.
That's great. I want to leave you with one exercise before I go. Okay?
Let's do it.
And this is one that if you do it for a minute in the morning for the next month, you'll change your life. Okay.
Okay.
You heard that ridiculous claim, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'll be trying it.
Here's how it goes. You take a minute and you describe yourself and your life in the most glowing terms as though it's already happened. And say affirm clear after each sentence for 60 seconds every morning, okay, for the next month. So my life is great and I'm getting everything I want, affirm clear. The album is taking off and it's been effortless to get going, affirm clear. I love the work that I'm doing and more work is coming and I get to support myself with it, affirm clear. But whatever it is for you, in other words, you build a picture of what it is that you want to see happening in your life. And you use affirm clear in order to affirm that picture. Okay?
Okay.
And that's to clear the emotional charge and clear the way for those very things to happen.
And you say you should do this in the morning?
Yeah. I do it just after I wake up, okay? Before I do too much thinking, because, you're thinking.
Yeah.
And so, you jump right on it, right? And describe your life the way you want it to happen. And you're going to discover that before you know it, those are your reference points in life. That's what you're looking toward. That's what you're creating. That's what you're living into. Okay? 60 seconds. Okay? Can you do
how long?
Seconds in the morning?
Yeah, for how long did you say? It'll change your life. No, how long to change your life?
For a month. Do it for a month.
You'll get an email from me in a month then, okay? I'll let you know.
I will. I absolutely will.
Awesome. I at the end of the show here, man, I would just like if you could just plug out all your stuff one more time so everybody can get at you.
If you're interested in a free demonstration of this process, if you want to experience it on your own, come to www.paradoxprocess.org. And you can sign up for a free session. We have Monday night workshops that are ongoing that we work on different themes every month. We have a yearly retreat where we go and do intensive work. Okay. We're on Instagram at Paradox Process. We're on Facebook for some reason at The Paradox Process. God knows why. And these are the things that we offer. I have a book called Love Games, The Hidden Rules of Relationship. If you want insight and information into relationship and how that works. I'm coming out with another book in October about the paradox process. It's called The Fool's Journey to Enlightenment. Okay, which is my journey.
Why don't you come back when you release that? And I would love to do that.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that.
I would love, and then we can release it also and show some people, and hopefully people will grab it, and I'll be one of those people too, definitely.
That'll be great, and we can raise some more hell.
Let's do it. Well, Thomas, is there any other plugs there? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just excited about the book, and I would love to have you on.
No, I think I'm all plugged out, so I'm good to go.
Awesome. And everybody, you can find everything in the description. It'll be all in the description. And check Thomas out. And I'm telling you, that exercise that we just did was just crazy. Rewind it. Follow along. I'm telling you, I'm still got goosebumps going on right now. I feel great. I really do feel great. Thank you, Thomas. I actually want to I'm going to check out your website and maybe try to sign up for one of the free courses and just check it out and see it. I'd love to get into that. So
love to have you.
But on that note, man, thank you again. I'll talk to you in a month. And I'll see you as well when your book comes out. Please, I'd love to have you back on and talk more about your book and hear about it. So
we'll do.
And if there's anything you want, just send me later down. If you got your book, I'll plug it. I'm all about helping, paying for it. I'll plug it. So shoot me whatever you need, and when those come out, and I'll get ahead of the curve there, and I'll help you wherever I can.
Appreciate it.
All right, Thomas. Well, thank you again, and thank you everybody for listening. And we'll see you next month. And be good at it. Bye.
Take care.
There we go.